Welcome back to Launch Your Light, a podcast that covers the soul and strategy of running a business and sharing your heart's work with the world. We have another incredible guest on the show today. We're going to be hearing from Katerina Vujic. She is a certified holistic health coach. She works with highly sensitive people, which, hello, this is our audience, perfectionists, people pleasers who are ready to break free from their sick identities and reach for those bold goals and heal. Oh my God, you are perfect for the show. Welcome, Katerina.
Thank you so much for having me, Jayme. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes. And we're both wearing white right now on this snowy
Yes.
day.
I felt like it was perfect to match the weather, the tone
Yeah.
of the day.
Mine's like, I was like, get me like the comfiest, coziest thing that I can wear in the office right now.
Oh, exactly. It's so soft and plush and warm. I'm really digging into it.
Oh my God. I'm so excited to talk all these things. So first, we like to break into story with these episodes. Like, how did you get here? How did you get to want to work with the highly sensitive people? And, like what attracted you and activated your soul purpose with that?
Well, I am one.
Yeah.
Let's do that to start. I am a highly sensitive person. I am still a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser. And that's colored, my whole life in various ways, but certainly my career and my purpose, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to be helpful in the world, and that paired with my own chronic illness experience is
Mm,
what really kind of launched me into this completely different path than I had anticipated. Um, about 9 years ago now, I became chronically ill and had all these really bizarre symptoms, vertigo, stomach pain, like everything was off. Sleep was terrible, low energy, brain fog. I couldn't piece sentences together. It was awful. It all
mm.
happened for me in one day, which was
Whoa.
wild. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was so bizarre. I was in Croatia visiting my family, and it was just one day. It seemed like maybe I ate something bad, but it happens. It would have been unusual. I've been lucky enough to go there very frequently and
Mhm,
see my family, but
mhm.
oh, the food's great. If you ever get a chance,
Oh,
go the
yeah.
food to anybody listening. Go to Croatia and eat the
Yeah.
food.
And the views, I mean, it's gorgeous.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. You've been?
No, no, but I can't. I'm a
Oh,
traveler. I would love to.
you must. Oh, I'll give you recommendations afterwards.
Okay.
But it's fantastic. Great fresh seafood, fresh meat, whatever. And I'd eat nothing abnormal seemingly, but just knocked me out. Something knocked me out, and that changed my life. That day, every day after that, I woke up the next day and I tried to roll over in my bed, and while I physically rolled over, my visual perception of what was happening
Mm.
was not accurate. The
Mm.
whole room was like spinning
Yep.
sideways,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Whoa." It was really, really scary. Have you
It's
ever
so
experienced
scary.
vertigo before?
I have stress-induced vertigo. Like
Oh,
extreme
so
levels of
sorry.
stress it will like throw me into it. And it's horrible.
Okay, so you have some understanding of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's the worst. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody.
Agreed.
Um, so that was kind of the start of like, whoa, something's very, 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 very wrong.
Hmm.
And that was the first night of like really poor sleep that I had. I was waking up like 15 to 20 times in that night. I felt like I was awake the whole night, even though I did sleep some, which was awful. Fragmented sleep, and obviously low energy and being dizzy and then I was like focusing on, I rolled over in my bed, right? So I was like slowly trying to figure out, okay, what's happening? And slowly get up from my bed and put my feet on my floor and my hands on the wall and like shuffle and try to understand because my vision was telling me something different. So I'm like feeling through the bottoms of my feet to know that I'm standing upright, right?
Mm.
And on the walls to know that I'm not falling over, even though it feels like I'm falling over. Very bizarre feeling and just completely terrifying. So that persisted. All
Hmm.
these symptoms, the stomach pain as well, the brain fog, which was don't underestimate brain fog. I don't know if you've ever had that before as well, but
Mm.
oh, especially as I'm somebody who really loves to communicate and express myself through language.
Mm,
So frustrating to
mm,
not be able to piece a sentence together. And then the way that I would like to as well to express who I am to somebody else. Oh, it was heartbreaking to me.
mm.
Um, that just, it persisted for years, these
Oh my
symptoms. And
God.
yeah, it persisted for years. And I had no idea. I went to see my GP as a first step, and then I was referred to specialists and more opinions, but the same kinds of specialists. I saw, ear, nose, throat doctors. I saw rheumatologists. I saw GI doctors. I saw everything. You name it, I've probably been to it.
Mm,
And more than once to get multiple opinions because I was not receiving the care that I needed. I was not getting the answers that I needed. I was getting maybe take this medication, and I was in my 20s. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to take medication forever in my 20s. What?
mhm,
That's a Band-Aid solution. No, thank you. Or I was just getting dismissed.
mm.
People were like, you're in your 20s. You know what? You know what you need? You need a good night's sleep.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
I'm not getting a good night's sleep.
right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I was completely dismissed because I was young and maybe
Mm,
possibly female. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah.
I felt like more it was just because I was a young person and I looked fine
Fine.
outside.
Right.
This
Right.
isn't like a broken bone. Your arm isn't hanging sideways and you're able to move around and you look okay and it's deceiving. Um, and I get that, it's hard for people I've discovered, like people around me to understand what's going on with me because outside I look fine. At most I look a little tired and whatever, but I look fine. And so
Mm,
I didn't get the care that I needed. And that just spanned many years and then spurred me to figure it out on my own eventually. But it
mm.
took a long time to get there. A long
Good.
time.
I This is a perfect example of Earth classrooms. I call them Earth classrooms. These
Mm,
experiences we have to go through, usually it's that we have to endure,
hmm
that activate us and shift us onto our path of purpose, which sounds so cute when you say it, but
Earth's classroom, let's go.
oh, sounds so cute, like Miss Frizzle
Yes.
and Magic School Bus, like,
Oh, I love
yes,
that show.
right?
Oh.
But like, you're a great example of like, oh my God, you had to go through all that to
hmm
get into this. Well, yeah, because no one would have, your people would, they wouldn't, they get that you get them. You
Yes.
understand them.
hmm
You're super, this is like a niche, right? This is like a corner
hmm
of holistic health that people need. Like, how many people walk around with this country with these autoimmune things, with all these things that they look
Yeah.
fine,
hmm
right? They
Yep.
look fine, but they're going through some stuff in there. Okay, so now you're
Major.
telling me that this took years to
Yes.
work through. So, how did you arrive? Like, okay, it took you years. Was it slowly you were able to control these things? Did you create your own systems or processes? Like, you understood triggers of, I don't know, like, how did you heal from this? Like, that's a big question. That's a big question, but like, okay, it sounds you healed from this.
Yes. Well, to be totally transparent, I'm not completely healed now.
Mhm.
I'm about 70% better than I was 9 years ago.
Wow.
So I'm not totally there now,
Wow.
but 70% better is a lot different than I was 9 years ago, to say
Mhm.
the least. Yeah, I'm able to string sentences together and then express myself and pursue a new career and maintain friendships and other relationships and
Mhm.
pursue fun things and whatever in my life now. But I'm definitely not perfect. And I want to make sure that people know that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there also is no perfect. I'm not saying that I'm not, pursuing the quote unquote 100%. I
Yeah.
am. Absolutely, I
Of
am.
course.
And I will continue to.
Of course.
And I have confidence that I'll get there based on what I've learned over the span of these 9 years. It's a lot of learning, trust me.
Yup.
Every single day was my own, like, so what I did to answer your question, I treated myself as my own experiment.
Mm.
Um, And so at first I mentioned I was going to all these specialists and things, and I wasn't getting the answers I needed. I was still holding myself back to a certain extent because of my perfectionist mindset, my people pleasing mindset, my victim mindset, and identifying with everything I was experiencing, identifying with the illnesses and the diagnoses I was receiving.
Mm. Mm.
I was thinking, okay, I'm unwell. I am, IBS, or I am migraine associated vertigo. And there's like, that's just
Mm.
the way it is. And this is affecting me. And I'm, outwardly and to myself, which is an interesting distinction. To myself, I was pursuing answers.
Mhm.
On paper, yes, I was going to the doctors. I was, paying attention to my symptoms, looking for triggers and all of that. And that was helpful, but only to a point because I wasn't getting real with myself about these mindsets that I had that were preventing me from accessing the place of vulnerability I really needed to get in touch with in order to move farther than where I was.
Mhm.
And it took shit getting real basically for for that to happen.
Yeah.
Things had to happen. It was for me uh during the COVID year.
Mhm.
Um that on its own,
Mhm.
everybody's had their own COVID experience.
Mhm.
And I think that that's a good way to kind of help people understand also who don't have chronic illness
Mhm.
experience. You're shut in,
Mhm.
right? During COVID, you're really shut in. You're constantly aware of like what you're doing, what you're exposing yourself to, how much you're going out, how much you're staying in.
Mhm.
Um, and that was what I was already doing before.
Mhm.
Before I was really insular. I was barely able to do the things that I needed to do.
Right.
And so I focused only on the things that I needed to do, like trying to get a good night's sleep, doing everything I can to get a good night's sleep, getting up, showering, going to work, coming back, cooking,
Mhm.
collapsing on my bed for an hour and a half because I'm so exhausted, getting
Mhm.
up to make dinner, go to sleep too late because I'm too exhausted from doing everything before.
Mhm.
Repeat. I
Mm.
wasn't investing in anything meaningful at
Mhm.
that time. And
Mm.
that was so draining.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, did not feed me, did not help me. And at the time, I thought I had to. I
Mhm.
thought that that's what I needed to do to survive. It's like, I don't have energy. I have to just focus on the things that I need to do. But then COVID happened and I'm more insular. I'm more restricted. I'm more unable to do the things that like fill me or whatnot. And um, that was like and then I had, other things happen. Like my grandfather in Croatia passed away and
Oh my
my
God.
dad was in the hospital. My friend was in the hospital. Like I was also around some people who were depressed and trying to help them while I was struggling. And it was a lot. And
Mm.
I was already in such a struggling place. I'd never been an anxious person in my life. I'd
Mm.
never been a depressed person in my life. I'd never been a panicked person in my life. I had panic attacks repeatedly. All as a result of my circumstances of what was happening to my body. Um, and then I had my first thought of, I don't know if I'm meant to be doing this. I don't know if I'm meant to be living here,
Mm.
doing what I'm doing here, because I was feeling so terrible.
Mhm.
I never had a thought like that in my life.
Mhm.
Luckily for me, having that thought in and of itself
Mm.
was enough of an alarm bell
Yeah.
that I realized, oh my God, something's really, really wrong.
Mm.
And me, it's my responsibility to fix it. Nobody's coming to save me. Nobody's coming to save me. I have to do this myself.
Mm.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault that I am where I am. It's not my fault that I'm as sick as I am or as well as I am,
Mhm.
but it is my responsibility. That was my moment of change. And,
Mm.
and okay, I saw that that thought was so far removed from the old, healthy, happy, joyful, full of life Katerina that I
Mm.
was.
Mm.
And realized, okay, I was that person. I'm not now. but I was that person, so I can get back to that person because
Mm.
I existed in that way before. And then I did a lot of writing in a journal to kind of work through all of the thoughts that I was having, most of them negative, on repeat.
Mhm.
Like, I can't, insert everything there. I felt like I couldn't do anything. Thinking that way all the time made it impossible for me to move forward and to see that that anything other than the way I was living was possible. So I was brutally honest with myself, and through writing, that was what worked for me. Different
Mm.
things work for different people. I also found talking in the mirror to myself was
Mm.
helpful. It's hard to lie to yourself when you're looking at yourself. I
Woo.
found. Mhm.
Katerina, you have me on the edge of my seat. I'm like, listen, you're a great storyteller.
Thank
First,
you.
I'm like, I know the people listening to this. I just feel so moved by your realness right now. Like you can see I'm tearing up as you're saying this. I think a lot of
Yeah,
people are going to identify with your story. So just I thank you right now for being on the show and stepping forward and sharing this because I think a lot of people are here right now,
thank you.
you know?
Thank you for having me, giving me that opportunity
Yeah.
and
Okay.
listening.
So the writing, which, oh yeah, I
Mhm.
tell people like my journaling was like my free therapy for probably like 5 to 7 years, to be completely honest. And I love and therapy's great, and I did that too. But there's
Mhm.
something about like the honest release and the no judgment, no shame vortex that is journaling,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, well said. No, no shame. No, yeah, absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
blank slate. It's a blank, literal blank page.
And it's
There's
just,
nobody there.
but it's a great release and it's a great, like, just like, it's a ritual too. Like if you get into doing it regularly, like when did you do it? Were you doing it every day? Was it in the morning? Was it at night? Like, did you make a ritual around it?
I did. Yeah, I tried to do it every day. There was a certain period where I was just kind of morning and night is how it ended up happening, and I found that helpful, and then ended up planning to continue that because I found it helpful. I kind of woke up in the morning and felt like, okay, this is a fresh day, fresh start. Let me try to evaluate where I am, how I'm feeling without judgment. That was very hard. I was
Mhm.
judging myself for everything as the
Mhm.
perfectionist. I was not meeting my own expectations in every conceivable way.
Mm.
Um, as a person, in a career, etc.
Mm.
Friend, girlfriend, I was not where I wanted to be.
Mm.
So kind of just getting in touch with myself, trying, practicing, and it took a lot of tries too. And it's something I guess I continue to work on, not judging myself, but
Right.
I'm a lot better at it now. Fortunately, it feels once you are able to work through that, you feel so much freer.
Right.
So I just kept doing it because I did feel like every single time I wrote, I got clarity. I was able to practice just like the teensiest little bit less judgment of myself. And then I felt a little freer and I felt a little better. And I felt like, okay, it's a new day. And this new day is actually not just new, it's, because every day one after the other, there's no distinction. It just repeats. The world goes round. It's all the same. But in working through the things that were holding me back, it made it feel like anything was possible.
Mm.
And that didn't happen all at once either. But again, consistently, over time it did. And at night, I would also journal. Yes, I found myself journaling frequently at night to work through the things that were keeping me from sleeping.
Mm.
I developed a lot of if you don't sleep well for a long
Oh,
time,
yeah.
then
Yeah.
you start to like believe you can't sleep well ever again.
Hey.
So I go to bed and excuse me, and then be like, I'm not falling asleep within the first 10 minutes. Oh my God, I'm not gonna sleep. I'm not gonna sleep. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna sleep. Which is not helpful, obviously.
Right. Right.
So I'd be like, okay, I worked with a sleep therapist. That was hugely helpful. She helped me practice a lot of good things about sleep hygiene, and some I had known, and some I had just I had not known, or some I had lost sight of with everything else going on. Found it very helpful. And writing at night, I would get up, maybe get a glass of water, get
Hmm.
my journal, go to a different place in the house than my bedroom,
Mm.
write what's bothering me, kind of work through it on paper, or read a. For me, reading has always been a passion of mine, and reading fantasy books like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a standard favorite of
Ooh,
mine and will always be my most favorite book in the whole world.
I
There's
love
like a, yeah, it's one of my favorites. Uh, but I have these, like, comfort places, and that's something that I help and I try to help people lean into now as a coach, is to find those things that are passions of yours, that, you know, for me, the imagination is kind of a passion of mine and has been ever since I was little. I read the last of the really great Wang Doodles by Julie Andrews. I don't know if you've ever read that book.
No, by Julie Andrews though?
By Julie Andrews. Yeah, she's published some books, some children's books.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have children. I should look into that. We love
Oh,
reading.
it's
Yeah.
so good.
What's it
It's
called again?
so good. The last of the really great Wang Doodles. I'll send it to you afterwards. It's the most one of the most imaginative books I've ever read, and I
Wow.
remember to this day my third grade teacher read it aloud to us, and it was so engaging. Isn't that funny? Like, I think we remember back third grade.
Oh my God. Also, when are your books coming out? Because your voice and your storytelling is on point. You are phenomenal. Like, hold up. When you should just be reading audiobooks and also getting side jobs for that because you have a great,
Great.
like, just like exclamatory, and we're both like huddled into our
Yeah,
computers right now, like we're talking next to a fire. Like, oh my God. Okay, wait.
I would love to do that.
You- Before I pull us in a million directions, or like before we
Yes.
end up on side vents, but okay, wait.
Hmm.
We left off at, okay, you were journaling, then you were
Hmm.
talking in the mirror, and then
Hmm.
keep going with that, like how you got to the place where you are now at
Yeah.
70%.
Yeah. A lot of it for me was the writing and working through things, but another big one was, that's an example of changing my, like, the rhythm of what I was doing through my day. And I felt like I was in this rhythm that wasn't helping me, and I needed to do things to disrupt that in order to change things in my life. And maybe that seems obvious, but when you're in it and everything feels so small and you're so closed in, and you feel so restricted by yourself and your circumstances, like, I needed to change something and I needed to start somewhere. Journaling was one thing I did.
Mm.
Another big thing that I did and have continued to this day is going for a daily walk.
Yeah.
During COVID,
Mm.
everybody's locked in also, right? So I made a point of going outside,
Yeah.
and with a goal also to try to be as present as possible, to find myself in areas full of nature where I felt like I could breathe more. And I think that's a very natural thing for human beings to feel calm in nature. Because I felt very anxious, on edge all the time, and I needed to bring that down. I knew that. So that, and just finding little bits of joy on my walks. Like, I love flowers. I love gardening. I love looking at people's gardens, and enjoying what they've created. And even something as small as, I mentioned I'm an HSP. Like, I've always noticed the little details, like a little
Mm.
bug with beautiful, intricate red coloring on the wings of a beetle or something like that. I know it sounds nuts to some people, but to me,
Yeah, not
it's
this audience.
so fascinating. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, you're in the right place. Wait, now that we're there, highly sensitive,
Yeah.
the perfectionist, the people pleasers, when did this go job for you? When did this turn into
Mm.
a career?
Let's see. So as I'm figuring out my health and I'm figuring out myself, that's when I realized I started making changes, right? I started pursuing different career goals. I
Mhm.
was in your normal 9 to 5s, and I was doing work. It was contributing to work that I believed in. That was always important to me. But it wasn't as aligned, I knew, with what I wanted to do, as I wanted. And so I started asking myself big questions like, what do I think the biggest problem in the world is?
Mm.
Uh, I thought it might be that we might not have one. Global warming and everything that's going on. And I'm not a scientist, though, not mathematically inclined. Numbers don't bring me joy.
Mhm.
So I had to figure out, I did an evaluation through, again, writing, journaling, but also that book, What Color is Your Parachute? I found very helpful to work through, and evaluated, who I was, taking into account my HSP nature, taking into account what brings me joy, what my strengths are. I'm highly empathetic, I'm a good communicator, etc. How can I use the skills that I have and the traits, the dominant traits that I have that I enjoy and I feel alive when I'm engaging with them, and also help the planet somehow.
Mm.
And while it might seem like a longer thread, and it took me a while to get there because of my perfectionist nature, I was looking for the perfect answer, just like
Right.
I was looking for the perfect answer for my health problems too.
Right.
Newsflash, there isn't one.
Right. Yeah, how many people are hearing this that agree with that? They're just so many people are looking for the answer. Like, what is wrong with me?
Yes,
So many people are not getting the answer.
no. And that's something that I'm sad to say in a way that I'm seeing a lot of people in the health professionals of various kinds also purporting to like have the perfect answer. And maybe
Right.
I'm open to the idea that they know something that I don't know because I
Right.
only know what I know.
Hmm.
But from my, how do you make your own judgments and opinions and come to your own conclusions from my own experiences and the knowledge that I've gained and the experience that I have, usually isn't one perfect answer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so I was working through that, and that's why it took so long also for me to become a health coach eventually. But
How long?
I
How long?
started years, let's see, probably, I mean, I was already like working on this um, track of figuring out what I wanted to do and how I could be helpful at the start 9 years ago. Also, I was working my first jobs out of college, and
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was quite it, and I didn't know what it was. I was an international affairs major in college,
Me
and
too.
an no kidding.
Like international business, travel and tourism, travel and yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, that's
okay, very cool. I picked up minors in anthropology and French though along the way because
ooh,
I've always been multi-passionate, and
ooh,
I didn't know what I
yeah.
wanted to do. I had so many passions and so many interests. So that started a while ago, but again, it was limited by me being this like perfectionist, and I need to find the perfect way to help the planet. I need to find the perfect way for me to do it. And then I got nowhere.
Oh my God, this is so good. This is a tantalizing story. You need a book. We got to get this onto paper. Because I just so many people are going to identify with this in their own way, in that
Hmm.
kind of like stuck, but the perfectionist, and then things aren't moving, and then like, like, ooh, it's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle to be in.
Oh, yeah. So frustrating. Because
Yeah.
at least all I wanted to do was like help the planet and do
Yeah.
something that felt fulfilling and meaningful.
Hmm.
But you're exactly right. You get stuck in this cycle.
Hmm.
So over time, and I'm working on my health at the same time that I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Eventually, I realize I reach a certain point of feeling well and realizing what I've achieved in terms of my health and how much I've learned and how much I want to learn
Hmm.
still, that I make an impulsive decision. And I've never made impulsive decisions in my life. This was the first one. I
Wow.
decided to I decided to get a certification as a health coach and study with the
Whoa.
Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes,
Hmm.
good for you. That's badass.
At the time, it absolutely felt like it was, and it
I,
still does.
that's a big sign up, let's just say. Like that's a
Yeah.
big jump to make. It's like a year long of learning all of these different nutritional backgrounds, right, from around the world and all of these
Yes.
different systems, right?
Hmm.
So it's like integrative, it's like all of it. Like I just
Yeah.
friends who have signed up for it, coaches who have signed up
Oh,
for it,
yeah.
and kind of always being like, oh, if
Very
I need
popular.
another
Yeah.
Jayme Gray and another 24-hour day, like that would be something. So that got you into health coaching.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd heard about health coaches from the job I was working just before. I was working for a farm and wellness startup, so I was kind of slowly tracking my way in that
Oh,
direction. and they were partnering with health coaches. Shout out to 9 Miles East Farm in upstate New York. They serve the Boston area. It's
Oh,
awesome. They bring farm fresh food to local people and whatever. So I was on my way in that direction, you know.
yes.
I partnered with health coaches. I heard about them. I was talking with them directly. I was doing those partnerships, creating those partnerships, and I was listening, and I was like, "You do what? Really? How do you do that?
Hmm.
Really? You work with people one on one in conversation? That's how you help people? Huh. I really could have used you 9 years ago."
Mm. Here we
I was
go.
like,
This is soul
whoa, ding,
purpose.
ding, ding. Yeah,
That,
exactly.
like we usually, not all the time, but usually in purpose, we're becoming the answer we needed in our past. We're
Hmm.
becoming the product, the service, the offer that we could have really used 9 years ago.
Yes,
You
spot
know,
on.
that's soul
Exactly.
purpose in a nutshell.
That's exactly how I feel. I
Yeah.
feel like, and that's kind of, I mean, this has been a crappy, like this whole health thing. It's been a crappy experience. I don't recommend it. But
Right. Right.
that said, it helps me to like feel better about it because now I've learned so much, and I've always had a general interest in being a healthy person. I mentioned I'm Croatian. They're very Mediterranean, very healthy
Yes.
lifestyle,
Yep.
slow paced, good
Mhm.
food, fresh food. But this really, furthered that interest, developed that interest for me. I realized how interested I was in it, and then how much I had learned myself through my own trial and error and endless researching. I didn't mention like I've read so many books and medical journals and just anything I could get my hands on to figure out the answers of what was going on with myself. Um, that I realized now, okay, it feels worth it in a way because I can help other people now, and I'm
Mhm.
not 100% better, but 70% better. There's me 9 years ago would have been thrilled to work with somebody who was any percent better to help me guide
Right.
through like where I was at that time when I felt so restricted and so
Right.
stuck and so frustrated that I couldn't be myself because of what was happening to me in my body.
Mhm.
So it absolutely feels like a moment of just such, to be honest, joy.
Mhm.
Just such joy that I can do that now, help
Mm.
other people.
Oh, oh. What's
I
your
imagine that's how you feel in your work too.
It is. Look at me. I'm like at the edge of my
Yeah.
seat listening to you right now, beaming. What's your sign?
Yeah.
What's your birthday? What's your sign?
Aries.
You're an Aries. Of course you're an Aries, the leader who has to go first.
I never would have thought myself as a leader who had to go first. I
Yup.
was the cautious observer who always went last if I
I
could.
bet. I bet. But look,
But
it's like,
again,
oh yeah, you had to lead here. You had to go through this yourself. No one was going to be able to
yeah,
give you the answer. You had to find it yourself.
exactly.
And now illuminate a path forward for others. So, real quick,
Yes.
somehow it's already been 30 minutes. Oh my God. Or it's been, oh my God. I'm like, literally, I need like an hour with you. Okay. So, the people that you like to work with, obviously, the highly sensitive person, the perfectionist, the people
Hmm.
please, breaking free from their sick identities. I know that's going to
Hmm.
trigger the F out of people, LOL, but it's good to hear it from someone like you who has done it. No
Yeah.
one wants to hear that message from someone who's like, just sleep better. Why don't you just get a good night of sleep? Like it's
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that's
I know.
or go to someone who's actually experienced it and who has done that work to detach themselves from that identity. I love that that is in your bio. Like I love that that is
Thank
in
you.
and then
Yeah.
also the bold goals. Like that's that fight Aries energy too. It's like, yeah, let's break free from that. And then also what do you want to do?
Exactly.
Your life is what that
Exactly.
says to me, right?
Yes, I want to help people like something that I think is missing a lot of the time, as I've been in this space is that attention to the person. Um, for example, in the conventional medicine setting, especially, there was no attention given to me as a person.
Hmm.
Not until I, found a functional medicine doctor, for example, or a chiropractor, for example, or different alternative modalities that ended up helping me. Those practitioners were more open-minded, but I know the value of paying attention to me as a person in healing. I know the value of that in other people.
Hmm.
One of the first things I did was join a choir. I'm
Wow.
I'm a singer. I love singing. It brings me such joy. I'm a longtime musician. I started out as a pianist for many, many years as a kid. Music's been a huge part of my life. It brings me a huge amount of joy. I waited too long to join a choir. And then after that, a jazz band, which I'm involved in now.
Oh,
but but I'm so glad that I did because it gave me so many things that I was missing. It gave me that sense of connectedness to other people, a sense
mm,
of community, a sense of something greater than myself. And that could be anything. You know what I mean? Music isn't everybody's shtick. It could be a
yeah.
sports team, it could be a book club, it could be a gaming, whatever. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, I encourage people to do that and
Mm,
do that first. Don't
mm,
wait. Don't
right.
wait, don't wait, don't wait, don't wait. It's life is too short. You can't wait for the perfect moment. You
Mm,
have to do stuff that fills you now, especially when you're struggling so much,
mm.
especially when you're so disconnected from yourself. You need to connect with yourself. This is one way to do that.
Ooh, let the angels champion that. Oh my God. Like, right? Like with their horns. We need to get that clip right there. See, this is that Aries fire. That's what I'm here for. Yes. Oh my God. Okay. How can people find you? How can they work with you? What's the best way for them to reach out to you? What are your handles? What's your website? I will obviously put this all in the show notes, but for the listener who's like driving right now and they're like, I can't look at show notes, how can they find you?
Yes. Thrive Health Coaching is the name of my health coaching company. And they can find me on my website, thrivehealthcoaching.com. They can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. It's all some variation of Thrive
Okay,
Health Coaching that I'll send to you. I think that's easiest
great,
for folks to look it up in the show notes. But
great.
yes, Thrive Health Coaching is the best way to reach me on my website. I offer a free one-on-one conversation to kind of, i.e., meet you as the person with you are with all the problems that you're experiencing, talk, have a little understanding of what's going on, share how I think I might be able to help, and then go from there.
Great. Great. Well, I am so excited. Like, I want to have you back on the show
I would love that.
later this year or next year because you're just so fascinating. And I would really love to stay in touch with you because this is just such a great
Likewise.
and I'm just so thankful for the work you're doing in the world and people like you. Like this is a good example of Earth Angel. Like you had to go through some shit. And now you're
Thank you.
literally devoting your life to helping others with it. Like, yeah, this is what I mean when I say launch your light.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute joy to talk to you and connect with you. And I hope this helps anybody listening. Don't, as a
Absolutely.
last word of encouragement or advice, don't wait. Just don't wait.
Yeah.
Find somebody to help you. I feel well positioned to help the kind of person that I've described, a perfectionist, a
Mm,
people pleaser, an HSP who's dealing with chronic symptoms, who doesn't know how to be themselves anymore, doesn't know how to move their life forward, achieve big goals that they want, whether that be in career, travel, personal, whatever. I don't care what it is. I want to help get you doing it and get you healing faster.
mm.
Um, but yeah, anyway, don't wait.
I can't wait to see what I title this episode. We'll see. We'll see what comes through.
I'm
This is
excited
going to
to
be
see.
good. All right. Anyone hearing this, please reach out to Katerina and her services. And I feel like I want to hear more stories. We need to figure out getting your story out more. I'm here to help you with that. So if
Thank
this
you.
episode left you like, like a tantalizing edge of your seat, reach out to her and you'll hear more of it. I'm sure there's lots of ways to work with you on your social medias and stuff and just like sharing your story and everything. So,
Yes.
okay, this was a great episode. Thank you so much to our listeners, to our viewers. We love you all for listening. Thank you so much. And we will be back with another guest soon. Bye.